welcome to the next episode of Ready and Willing podcast. Really excited about this one, being an athletics fan myself. We've got Brenda Spencer. I was going to say the old chief exec, but I better not. She might hit me. The former chief exec of Real Life. And Sarah Guilfoyle. Is it Guilfoyle?
Yeah.
I've got that right. Who's the new head honcho at Wigan and got a really big job. So I'm really lucky I've had these guys here today. I'm really looking to have a conversation with them. Brenda, can you're back at the club? You've never really been away.
No.
What's the new role and what are things like at the club at the moment?
My new role is the non-executive chair of the board, the difference now as to when I was chief exec was, as Sarah is now, I was running the club on a day-to-day basis. I'm not involved in that now, although I do work with Sarah on several things going forward, but I concentrate more on the outside, like the community trust, the foundation at the Warriors to try and get them to work together, the past players on both clubs, because we would like to be out in the community as one rather than two separate identities. I go to the academy, and I'm getting a little bit more involved in the women's football now.
So big role. And actually, the women's football is going from strength to strength.
Brilliant.
So Sarah, you've been at the club, people won't know this, quite a long time.
Yeah.
About 9 years, did you say?
Yeah, it'll be 9 years in September.
So from a junior role, coming up through the ranks, done your apprenticeship and got
I started in the academy as academy secretary, and sort of was very fortunate that when I've been ready to take that next step in my career, that I haven't had to move to another club to do that. I've always had that pathway at Wigan, which is really, really good. It's allowed me to build a really strong connection with the club, and I hope sort of as time goes on, people see the work I'm doing. It's because I do care so deeply for the club, because I've been there
so
such a long time.
how old was you when you started at the club then?
I was 19. I started on my 19th birthday.
Okay. And I think because we're in the college, it's quite aspirational for some of the students to see that you've done that, come through and done that role to really a prominent position. And actually, Brenda headed up as a chief exec in a time when it was a male-dominated kind of sport and chief execs. There weren't many, and Karen Brady was probably the only one around at that period of doing it. And actually, you're in there, and it's still a male-dominated kind of, organisations, isn't it? And you'll have your battles there within that.
Yeah, it was really interesting actually. So one of our other directors, Ben Goodburn, and myself went to the EFL club meeting in February. So it's something I've been going to representing the club for a long time anyway, just as part of my former role. But obviously Ben, in his capacity working for the ownership group, is used to going to events like that on quite a regular basis, and he couldn't believe the lack of women in the room. It's the women that do go, it's become a bit of a running joke. Sort of when you look at the itinerary and the delegate list they send you, you're going, oh, there's 200 people and 16 women, and you're sort of looking at it the next year, it's like, oh, there's 20 women, we're getting better. So it is. And I think what's really important is, obviously Brenda would have been a massive role model in her time. You've mentioned Karen Brady, who was sort of mine, because she was very, very prominent. And young women, but generally young people, need people to look up to that are breaking those stereotypes to make sure that they know that's a pathway they can have too.
So it's funny we can come into that, because I tread carefully by saying this in a way, because we say, put women in positions. I think women should be in them positions because they deserve to be in them positions and they've got the capabilities. Some people said that as a token gesture. So just as an example, Ellie is a young lady who works at AL for us, and she's heading up the capital team for AL and doing all that. She's 28-year-old. She's from Lee, and she absolutely dominates. But she's got that position because she's capable of doing it. She can fight any level, and she has got battles because she's working in a workplace with male-dominated builders. And she really does put them in the place, and she puts me in my place a bit as well. But
needs a woman's touch sometimes.
No, but I think it's about, it could be anybody, couldn't it? But it's about that, and I don't mean that kind of disrespectful.
That is exactly the sentiment. So I'm on a course at the moment through the EFL, and there's an organisation called Women in Football that have about 10,000 members of women that work in various capacities in the industry. Sort of before I got the managing director role, I was targeted as one of the women in clubs that the EFL thought needed a pathway through
Okay.
to leadership. So they're actually putting on this course at the moment where they're sort of the inaugural, the guinea pig cohort, so to speak. It's a 2-year course sort of developing leadership skills in women to try and fix that. So they've identified that there is a real lack of female leadership in football. And what they want to do is give the women that are already in there the tools to make sure that they can get there and they can do it. It's not a token gesture. It's actually preparing people to say, actually, there's all these very, very qualified women. Use them.
I mean, me and Dave Mulliney were chatting last night at the event that you was there, and we're really proud. And actually, we've known Brenda a long time. I know she's brought the club through and done whatever, and I don't mean that. I mean that sincerely, because we've worked together quite a lot. And now you've come, and I won't say it's brave for the club. I think Mike Danson looks at people and the organisation. I know Ben as well, and all the things that's gone on at Wigan. But the things that's gone over the last few years, it's been a really rocky ride at Wigan. And all the ownerships and everything, and really fans have gone through that mill as well, and all the things that they're. But probably going back, Brenda, working for Dave Whelan. And I always remember we said this the other night chatting, and I think I was moidering for Brenda for tickets going back donkey's years, and I said I'll send it to your PA, and she was like, "You're talking to her." It's like this woman with a drum and a one-man band thing, really but getting into the Premier League. Dave was an hard taskmaster.
Certainly.
And lots of other things, but committed to what he did. And I know Dave did lots of other stuff for charities where he kept quiet. I think he liked being not the nice guy. He liked, but he did. You know that. You was very close to him and Pat. So some of the stuff that in them years, getting in the Premier League and coming through, if you can talk just a bits about them, we could be around that. But.
Yeah, well, when Dave first bought us, he was running his own company, JJB Sports, which then was a limited company, so he could do whatever he wanted.
He always did anyway.
Yeah, but it wasn't a PLC then, where you're answerable to shareholders. It was a limited company. And the first year that he was the owner, it was hard for me because you've got your rules and your regulations of the Football League, and Dave wasn't used to being told he could not do this. So he'd come up with some reason, something he wanted to do, and I'd have to say, "So you can't do that, Dave." "What do you mean I can't do it?" "Well, you can't do it because the rules stipulate you can't do that sort of thing." Well, so we had argument after argument, and after 12 months I went to him and said, "I'm going to have to pack in because I can't work like this." I said, "If you didn't want to be," I said to him, "if you hadn't wanted to be part of a football family, which is the Football League, which was what we were in then you shouldn't have bought a football club." So he just looked at me and he said, "All right, carry on, but keep me in the loop."
It's fair, is it? Yeah.
And all them years later, and he did say to me as he was leaving the office, in 10 years, when he first bought us, in 10 years I'll have you in the Premier League, in 5 years I'll have you in a new stadium. And true to his word, 4 years we're in the new stadium, and 10 years that May that he'd bought us in the February, we went up to the Premier League. Fantastic.
And then that's in the FA Cup and everything that goes with it. It was really a fairy tale. And when people, I remember him saying the things at the time, and people going,
"Yeah." I always used to say, when I left, I said to Dave, we had a love-hate relationship. He said, "I never hated you." I said, "Yeah, but I hated you sometimes."
But we wouldn't be where
But
we
he was for Wigan. That was his goal. He was everything for Wigan.
Yeah.
He was a Wigan man, and he just wanted everything successful for Wigan.
I think what people didn't see behind the scenes and still don't, football clubs don't make money. No. You're very lucky if you can break even. Your Man Uniteds and everybody. And so Dave had to bankroll that month on month.
Well, he didn't bank it month on month, Chris. He built that stadium. He paid for that stadium when we sold Christopher Park, Springfield Park. We only got £1 million for it. So that stadium cost £38 million, and he bankrolled that for us. And we didn't really need him to keep us afloat. When we got to the Premier League, we needed Dave desperately for players. And Dave never said no. If it was the right player for the club, he would put his hand in his pocket and help us out. So
well, I mean, we owe him a debt.
Yes,
you
we
know,
do.
and
We
yourself
do.
and people involved
Yeah,
at that period,
do.
and leading further on, we wouldn't be
Yes.
here.
yes,
And you know, and when people, because Dave was a character, and you know, and I think when you chat to people and go, we wouldn't have a club.
yeah,
You know, we really
Yeah.
wouldn't. And all the things that went on. It must
I
have
mean,
really rock his out the stuff that went on later.
It wasn't just the football club, was it? I mean, he had JJB,
Yeah.
and he was employing hundreds of people in Wigan at
Yeah.
JJB. It was such a successful company.
Yeah.
And he went PLC, and so I think he definitely is Mr. Wigan Athletic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, whether people have gone through some tough times with Dave,
Yeah.
you can never take that away.
Yeah.
And I know he's not 100% at the
Yeah.
moment. We give him his best wishes,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you know, he's been. So I think the FA Cup was a big time.
Yeah,
You was there.
yeah.
It was good for all of us. You know,
That day at
Yeah.
Wembley was absolutely fantastic. When that goal went in, I'll never forget that.
yeah.
Yeah, so many memories. A fantastic journey
Yeah.
for me, going from the old 4th Division all the way to the Premier League, and 8 years in the Premier League. And like I said to Sarah, she's a little mini-me now.
Okay.
And I
Don't wish that on us.
I want that for Sarah. I want her to go on a journey like that, because it's fantastic. I look back on that now. I've got so many memories.
Yeah. Not only you.
I fill up thinking
Everybody
about it.
in Wigan
Yeah,
has got their
yeah.
memories. We were chatting the other week at the memories thing when we was there
Yeah.
with Barry. And would you swap that for Premier League and FA Cup? Never.
No.
The FA Cup was something.
Yeah,
you
it's
could
a one-off, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's
It's
just,
you got the name on the cup
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And
I remember
Yeah.
meeting Roberto before the semi-final, and he came into Rigoletto's. And Roberto is probably the nicest guy you'll
Yeah.
ever meet.
Yeah.
I said to people, in your life, he's one of them people. And he walked in, it was me, Dave Mulley, Peter Smith, and blah, blah, blah. And he walked in, apologised for being late. That was his first thing. And then went and thanked all the staff for
Yeah.
making a coffee.
yeah,
And then sat down. And for people, because you're not spectators like that, everybody's a manager, aren't they? So, and everybody always said he doesn't really know a lot about football. It's easy what he does. He sat down and went through rigorously
Yeah.
how we was going to play that semi-final.
yeah,
And it was like unreal. For we were just in awe. And he was like that guy.
Yeah.
And he thought, wherever he goes, he comes talking to you.
yeah.
When he left, I'm taking there was a dinner. Wigan Athletic had one table. I think it was like sports thing, whatever it was. I think it was at the cricket ground in Manchester, wherever. And he was at Everton
Yeah.
then. And he was sat at the table with all the Everton directors. And I walked past and he went, "Are you going on, Chris?" And I thought, for me,
Yeah,
that was like
yeah.
something into it that
Yeah.
people actually recognise that. So diversified. But so moving on to your role now, Sarah,
Yeah.
and that's you're lucky you've got Brenda to lean on and learn from, because there will be some of that. And we talk about Dave, but now we've got a new owner, Mike, who's different than Dave. Definitely. Sat down with Mike and he's so unassuming, really blends in the background. And actually, you'll be working with Ben probably more, and Lewis is his son, sorry. Yeah, and doing that kind of stuff. So how do you see all that kind of mixing together?
It's good. So we're kind of left on a day-to-day basis, obviously to make the decisions for the business. But we have really, really regular contact with Ben, with Mike, with Lucas. And it's important to stress, because I don't think it's out there enough. Actually, Mike's really involved, isn't he, at an executive level. So we obviously have board meetings every month now. And we had one last week, and Mike was actually on holiday. And he was in Mexico, so he was 8 hours behind. And our board meeting started at 3:00, and it must have been 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. And it was absolute. There was no way he wasn't being on that call.
Commitment.
It is, yeah. So yeah, no, it's good. The Mike's great because he is really invested, particularly in the community aspect. Obviously, for him owning both clubs, there's the sporting success. But a byproduct of that is the impact that he can have on the local community as well. That the power of both badges in the town is really powerful, and what impact that can have and what good we can do. I think he'd very much like that to be his legacy. But the sporting aspect of it is really important as well. And sort of they kind of leave us to it. They're there when we need them, but they know we've got
That's great.
the expertise. They're not over-imposing, which it works really well for us, doesn't it?
I mean, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the podcast with you early does in your career, was that people don't know some of that intricate stuff about the board meetings, and they just think, oh, whatever. And I think me and Dave Molyneux sat there many times over the years of wanting them badges to come together as one. You'll always get Latics fans who don't like rugby, because I get that all the time, and vice versa. But I think it's a real minority now. And I think people can see, and actually Chris Radlinski works very close with everything. He's worked with Mike because he worked together.
And I work really closely with Chris.
And the great, and so I think there's a real gel there, and it makes more sense financially to have one club working on all that together, doesn't it?
And
it just makes
it's not about ramming the opposite sport down the other's throat either. We understand they're two completely different games, but what the point we want to get to is that everyone from Wigan wants the best for Wigan. Whether you're a football fan, just even passively look at checking the score and wanting Warriors to do well, and vice versa if you're a Warriors fan for Latics. It isn't about forcing the sport on the other. It's about the collective good that the reach of both of those entities have.
Do you think you'll ever get to a point, we'll put you on the spot here now, of a joint season ticket?
So actually we had
we tried this a long time, haven't
we had a meeting, so I know we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, and obviously when Mr. Whelan tried it with Brenda, there was about 160 odd. We looked at the data we've got yesterday, and we're at about 300 people that have, so it is increasing. It is something we'll look at. It's not something that everyone will want to take up, but for those that support both, particularly whilst we're under the same ownership, it's probably only fair that they see the benefit of that, because when we're under separate ownerships, it involves a lot of collaboration, but at the end of the day, Mike sits at the top of the tree of both. So, I can't say we'll ever get absolute unity, because that would be a very unrealistic goal. But certainly doing the right things together. I mean, the really, really upsetting story of obviously Darren Orme. In March, he passed away, but seeing the impact the community had coming together to find him, and on the day of his funeral, obviously the family requested that we had some kind of presence, which I completely agreed with. And we asked Wigan Warriors to join in as well, and there was no qualms whatsoever. There was never any chance they were ever going to say no, and it was really nice to see that unity between the two clubs.
I mean, you spoke about the community trust, and actually I've been involved in the trust from day one, Tom Flower and everything like that when Phil. And it's been really successful. I think we've still got that Premier League ethos in the trust of doing that, and been really successful. So naturally the Warriors have got the trust, so bringing them together, because that is about working out in the as Gareth said the other night, bringing extra money in to that trust. So working in the outskirts of the borough, we're not connected, but the badge means so much to carry that. You can get, I can get council officers going anywhere. But that means so much more to kids.
I think when people see us trying to work together internally and out in the community, fans might start to think a little bit differently. So. I work closely with Chris Brooks, Professor Chris Brooks.
Yeah, I had Chris on here.
Like Sarah does with Chris. And I think that eventually we will get that togetherness.
I hope so.
I don't think there's anything with the staff, is there? It's just the fans, really. And like you say, I think fans are becoming more...
Because what you want is full stadiums, doesn't it? I mean, we know we never going to get to that kind. But if that added a few thousand on either game, it would be great. And I suppose that's kind of the logistics of looking financially about discounting whichever you do.
I'm thinking about Wigan. It's the town of Wigan. So to have a successful football club and to have a successful rugby club, how many towns have got that? They
don't get what we've got, and not forgetting Derek at Lee. We can't forget Derek at Lee.
We have to bring Lee in.
So and he's committed to everything that goes on, so he sees that as being a real kind of key. So you've got the three players.
Mike and Derek get on very well too, which is
different
great.
people, but because I had Derek on here a few weeks ago, and he's a real passionate guy. And committed to what he does, and cares about people from his upbringing, as he spoke about, where he had nothing. That's why he wants to help people if he can. So I think it's that Wigan ethos, isn't it? Of doing, and you want it to. But sport means so much to people. And when we've chatted to Mike about the complex and everything that we want to do with our side and disability sports and everything, there's so much. You've got a big future to kind of take this. It's really exciting, isn't it? Your period was really exciting because it was that coming on, and we've gone to that lull of we could have gone out of existence and all that, when it's behind us now, but it was a rocky time for everybody. Dave Molyneux dealt with it more than I did, and and then we chat all the time and have meetings and sit and personally, and we was distraught because we're Latics through and through, and also the rugby as well, and it was a tough time for everybody and the staff, because when people weren't getting paid and things like that, it was a tough time. People stuck with it, didn't they?
That's it, and going through it twice as well.
Yeah.
We've sort of one of my mantras is we've had 2 lives, but we're not a cat. We don't have 9. We need to do the right things to make sure that whilst the club is under our custodianship, we don't do things that endanger it to go back to that point as far as we can possibly help it.
I'm really excited about you coming into role because Brenda's told me about I've met you and you're sincere. And I was talking to a friend the other day because you did some work at Accrington Stanley years ago.
Yes.
So there's a guy who lives in Aspel near me who's an Accrington. He comes from, and he went, she must be all right if she's worked for Aki.
And do you know what? I think actually, so if you don't mind, I'll actually tell you the story how I got into it, because I love telling this story because I hope it is an inspiration to young people. But one thing when I was working at Accrington, it was before Andy Holt, who now owns the club and has really built it up and made it really sustainable, but the more successful it's been since they opened in the 60s. It was at a time when the club there nearly went under because of I think it was about a £300,000 tax bill, whereas you look at the money in football and think that's something that in the Premier League they'll throw in 2 seconds over a transfer, but it could have killed a genuine community asset in that football club. But when I was working there, I was opening winding up orders in the post. We were getting paid in instalments, even though at that point I was an apprentice and I was on about, I don't know, the apprentice wage now is a lot higher, but it was something like £2 an hour, and they were struggling to pay that. Which in some ways actually prepared me for, I was at Wigan both through administration and through, unfortunately, when we went through the financial issues under the previous ownership group, the Bahrainians. And actually that prepared me really well because I'd already been there and through that before and sort of knew how people were feeling and how you get through the other side of it. But yeah, I had a really unorthodox route into football, which I absolutely love. So when I was in high school, we had to do a 2-week mandated work placement somewhere. And a lot of the other kids in my year they weren't that bothered about it. They'd sort of just go to work with the mum or do something that they didn't really take it seriously. Whereas I did 2 weeks at Accrington Stanley, and sort of it was really good. They built a proper programme for me to just go and do a little bit of everything. So I was helping the club shop, I was helping the kit man, sort of helping the club secretary, which is how I ended up in the football admin role that I was in before this one. And the game on the Saturday got cancelled because it was January, it was snowing, and they said, oh, well, when the next Saturday game, come back, 'cause that's part of your experience. And I obviously made myself quite useful because they said, can you come back next Saturday? I was like, yeah, sure, great.
You got a job.
Like, I was going there anyway, so I'd sort of work on reception till 3:05 when everyone would come in, and then they'd let me go outside and watch the game. And I thought, oh, this is great. And then it kept happening. So can you come back? And I worked the rest of that season. And it was like, oh, I've got the 6-week holidays. I can come in for a couple of days. Anyway, I ended up between year 10 and year 11 in high school. I ended up working the entirety of the 6-week holidays full-time at Accrington Stanley. And sort of I got back to school, my first day of school. And I had my phone in my blazer pocket and it kept buzzing all morning. I'm thinking, I'm not normally this popular. Like, what do people want? And sort of when I took my phone out at my break, it was my colleagues like, where are you? Like, I'm at school. I've got another year. So it kind of ended up in that we used to finish early on a Friday. So I used to get the school bus from school to Stanley. I used to get changed in the toilet out of my school uniform and then prep for the match day the next day. I'd work match days, I'd work school holidays. So sort of when I left school, they offered me a full-time job, and I said, well, I had got a place at local sixth form, and sort of coming from a family of teachers, my family really, really wanted me to do that. And I was like, well, can I do something in the middle? Can I do an apprenticeship? Like, so I go in 1 day a week at Burnley College and then do 4 days in a match day at Accrington. And sort of at the time, my family were really supportive, as in my mum and dad and my siblings. Possibly some of my other family members, again, the teachers were a bit like, I think you should go to college and university. But I wanted to do that, and it's obviously something that's paid off. So I'm really proud of that. But for young people, everyone is told there's a set way of going through education, and there isn't. I went back, and I've got a master's degree now. I got work experience and went back and did that. There's not a one path that fits all, and I'm sort of one of those that did a little bit of an unorthodox route, but still managed to get to where I wanted to be.
That's really, and I think people listening to this, it's inspirational for young people. Just going back, Brenda, and you told me a story many, many years ago. So when we went in the Premier League and you opened the mail with the cheque in it for the Premier League.
It wasn't that. We went to my first conference, Wigan's first conference in the Premier League in the summer. And it was set with a table at the top and then like a half moon round. So being Wigan, you ended it up Arsenal and that were going forward. And I'm sat there listening to all this going on about the money, the millions, and I just couldn't take it in. And when we had the break, David Dean from Arsenal came over to me and he said, I wished I'd had a camera. I said, why? He said, your face, I wasn't wearing glasses then. Your face, your eyes were going bigger and bigger, and your mouth. And he said, I thought, what's going on? And then when we got back and we started, the season started, I was an accountant. I'm an accountant by my profession. So I'd be counting the notes because I wasn't used to all these notes on the end of figures, and it was like, I must double check this, treble check it. No, I'll just check it again to make sure it's all right. It was amazing. And it was a lot of money then, because we're going back quite a while. So it was a lot of money then, but nothing to what is in the Premier League now.
No. But in that time it was massive, wasn't it?
I think it was around about 26 million, if I remember, in our first year we got from the Premier League.
But then the wages went up a lot.
Yeah. But and it's moved on a lot because I've seen a big difference since I come back in all the rules, the regulations, the safeguarding, the HR, everything like that is completely different to what it was.
And that's what people don't see behind the scenes. It's not like you just go in there and go, I've got a group of players here.
No.
We'll kick a ball and do it like that. It's great.
No.
But meeting some of the players, I mean, they seem grounded, and there's a bit of banter there with them.
They're a really, really nice group of people. Character's really important.
I think so.
Obviously, the on-field ability is the most important, but the fact that they're good people, because the people of Wigan are good people, and our team should represent the people that we are representing. So that's really important, that we haven't got any divas, any big characters, any disruptors in the training ground.
No, that's good. So probably looking forward to that, and actually there'll be some changes coming to next season. You'll have a lot of decisions there, won't there? There'll be people leaving the club who've been on loan, and people coming in, and listening to Ryan about the expectations of Championship, which is realistic expectations rather than we're going to get in the Premier League, because we've seen teams come. Luton, you've seen what's happened with Luton. Ipswich are another one, and it's kind of so it's going to be an hard task going forward. Which of the players, Brenda, would you say, going back, stand out to you as being either characters or some that made a difference to you? Because you've seen so many, won't you?
There's a lot of years there, Chris. A lot of years. I think one that really stands out because of the way he was as a person, how he played for us, how he was with the players, was Ariane Dazou.
Okay.
He was one that really stood out. A leader, very intelligent, never gave us any trouble.
Nice guy.
Nice guy. But there are a lot more, out there that I'll
tell you a quick story about Harry then. So this is quite funny because Nazi was Dutch, and we had this thing at the period at the time. So going from Aspel down into Wigan, we had all the daffodils. You drive through there, you see them all in a row. So we had a machine which came from Holland, which we hired. It was quite costly. It was like, it's easier than like everybody digging holes and doing it. So I thought, how can we do this? Because I've always done the PR bit. I got in touch with the club and got in touch with Harry. And he came up and had the machine. I've still got the pictures. I'll send them to you. Planting the bulbs at the top of Scholes near Windsor Shoe Shop. So this machine was worth like millions. And he was like, can I drive it? And I'm like, well, it's nothing to do with it. And he did. And I'm like, oh, God, this is going to go wrong. I can imagine him going across the road. And he was such a nice, he came out and planted these bulbs. And he knew that he spoke to Dutch, to this guy who'd come over doing it. And he thought, you wouldn't get that in many places of football players. Premier League then, it was, you know, and actually you dealt with Paul Jewell at the time. You had Paul. And
Paul's a character.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest characters was Jimmy Bullard.
Oh, definitely.
Goodness.
Yeah.
A lot of players stand out for different reasons.
Yeah, I can imagine. You could rat a few books, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Might get sued, but you can rat a
Everybody keeps telling me to write a book.
But you've got that to come to be some. I think a lot of people want to come to Wigan now. They can see the stability and where things are going. So because that's always a difficulty, isn't it? Yeah. It's all right going. We want that player, but if they don't want to come, and got that.
Well, quite attractive for young players. Obviously, a few years ago, Reece James and the story of obviously how well he did, and sort of it catapulted into the Chelsea team. He's had England caps. He's played in the Champions League. Some of the statistics I touched on at the end of season dinner about the academy, 137 consecutive fixtures where we've put an academy graduate in the starting 11, 38% of minutes played in League One by academy graduates. We are really attractive to clubs who are looking to loan players out because we develop young players, but also for young players that maybe they've dropped out of a local Premier League club, coming and making that next step in their career. We do give youngsters a chance, and that makes us a good club to come to.
I mean, going back with that, now I always keep in contact because he's from Aspen. He's a good mate of mine, Jordan Flores. So Jordan's still at Bohemian, still playing. I mean, he'd love to come back to Wigan, you know what I mean? If you can do anything, just give us a shot. We can sort it out.
He scores some very good goals.
He has. He's really settled over there.
He's a bit like a Johnny Smith with his showreel.
I mean, for his family, you know Manny and all their family, and they're really embedded in Wigan. And it was the proudest day when he scored at Fleetwood, and then went a bit pear-shaped because he got sent off. And as that rolls down, then it was you go on loan, and that's football, isn't it? But he's come out. He's a decent guy. He's got a couple of kids now, and he's a happy guy. But he always talks about Wigan, and you know, it's always in his heart.
I think all our loan players really enjoy being at Wigan, don't they?
Yeah,
you know, and they're going back, and they enjoy the time that they have at Wigan. I think we've still got that friendly atmosphere, and it's coming back now in the club. You can feel it coming back in the club.
I think the fans can feel that, because that's where me and Dave sit in terraces and our season tickets, and you can just feel that it's coming. People, because there was instability for a long time, and actually your role coming in now, people have seen that, and the settling. Brenda coming back in the fold, people can see that kind. I'm not just saying it because you're here. They can see that stability there. They can see that Mike's there, and not throwing cash in, because I think people expected day one throw millions in. We knew that wasn't going to happen because we'd spoke to Mike, and it wasn't the way to do it. But we can see that Nancy Ben came in with that business kind of study bit. So it's all professional behind there, and that's what you need, and making it
and we both
stable.
Want what's right for Wigan, don't we?
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
and I think the connection with the council, with Dave, yourself, and all that going forward, it's a real big family ethos thing of doing it, isn't it? So it's great. So thank you for coming. I'm going to ask one of the students, Chelsea's going to come in. She's quite nervous, but she'll be great to ask you some questions. She's a Latics fan, which is great anyway. And here we are with Sarah and Brenda from Wigan Athletic, and we've got Chelsea, who's a student at the college, but more importantly, a true blue Wigan Athletic fan who's going to ask some questions of Sarah and Brenda. So fire away, Chelsea, it's yours. Whatever you want to say. No all's bad.
So Wigan has a strong local identity. How does the club engage with the local community?
So we have our community trust, something that Brenda mentioned earlier. So they're the charitable arm of the club. They're technically a separate business, but we work really, really closely together. So Gareth, who's our head of community, sits on my senior leadership team, so we've got a really, really close relationship. Also myself, Brenda, and our finance director, Richard Bramwell, we sit on the board of the Community Trust Board of Trustees as well. So there's a really strong link between the club and the trust. The trust work from age 2 to age 92, completely different range of programs. So nurseries, primary schools, high schools. They do camps for obviously things like holidays, free school meals obviously in holiday time when schools don't provide that provision. things with veterans. They do some really, really good projects with older people. Some that you're involved with, Brenda,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes, we have a memories group which meet every second Wednesday of the month, and people come, and it's quite popular. Sit and talk about the olden days.
Yeah.
People who live on their own, who are lonely, and we've just opened a Latix Cafe, which is every Thursday in Whelan's Bar. And again, it's open to the community, and they come in and just chat and have tea and biscuits. And
You've
things
gone back
like
on the
that.
board of the trust, haven't you, Brenda?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I work with Gareth now and the trustees. And like I say, it's the trust do a lot for mental health and health being, well-being and all that sort of thing as well. They do an awful lot in the community. Yes, it's and we're just hoping to go from strength to strength when we can get both trusts working closely together.
I think the combination with that is that the council work closely with the trust and the club, so it's like
Yes.
a real triangle kind of thing.
Yes,
so Dave Mullin on
both
the board.
trusts have got members of the council. We've got Dave on ours, who's been on it for a few years, and the foundation have just appointed a trustee who's on the council.
So it's good.
So, second question is, what initiatives are in place to bring younger fans closer to the club?
So this is something I'm really passionate about. We have a fan engagement manager, Diane Winnard, that does some really, really amazing things on a match day in our family zone. Diane is bringing a member of staff on board as well, so we can double the resource that we've got in that area. Something that I'm really passionate about doing is the South Stand, reigniting that as our family stand. So it's always been our designated family stand, but I don't think there's enough branding in there. There's not enough in the concourse that's suitable for families. In terms of season tickets for next season, the lowest price junior ticket is £5 for the season. I can't even begin to work out what that is pence per game.
Not a lot.
So it's really, really good. So that's for seven and under, and then sort of heading into sort of high school age. Again, we've kept it. I think it's about £40, something like that. We've tried to keep ticket prices as low as we can, particularly for junior fans, to make it accessible. Something that the club did really, really well in Brenda's time was JJ's Club. So it was sort of like a junior membership scheme that gave kids access to something a bit like our family zone now, events, trips, but most importantly match tickets. So we are looking to reignite some form of junior supporter scheme, hopefully over the summer into next season. So yeah, there's plenty going on to make sure that we're making ourselves
Might
really
be worth
attractive.
just to add to that, and actually at the council and following under my remit is a communities team. So we've got lots of communities team out there. So we'd love to kind of get involved with what you're doing there and give you that added resource of our staff to kind of work in
Fantastic.
with.
And the supporters club are really on board with that as well. So Caroline, who runs our supporters club, we had a really positive meeting with a couple of weeks ago, and they set a theme every season. And so sort of I pitched to her what we're going to be doing in an ideal world to make sure we're really engaging junior fans and
you've
families.
got Martin on the pitch as well.
Yes.
Which is
Exactly. That's it. Martin was the person behind JJ's Club, the voice,
he
wasn't he?
He's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of him.
So the supporters club have been great, because they've said, look, well, next year we will help you, and we'll also have our theme as families to make sure that all of us are pushing in the same direction. So hopefully next season we'll start to see an impact. One thing I have said to Mike, because obviously they're bringing in extra members of staff, the resource and the branding, it's an investment. It's not something that will pay off straight away, but it's something that we're building for the future. So it's for the fan base of 4, 5, 6, 10 years down the line, but it's really important work that we put those foundations in now.
Brilliant.
How important is fan feedback in your decision-making process?
Really important. So one thing we've done the last couple of months is, I mentioned the South Stand before, but it's obviously a stand that's quite under capacity at the moment. I don't mind sharing the statistics because I think it's really important to back up the decisions that we've made, but the capacity of that stand's 5,500, and at the minute we were getting an average of 700 to 800 across the course of the season in that stand, which isn't sustainable, and also it detracts from the atmosphere. So we did a consultation where we openly emailed out to the season ticket holders to invite them to an evening in the South Stand to discuss it. I did a presentation to them all about why and what we wanted to do. We then, sort of, for those that couldn't make it, we emailed that presentation out, gave them a further chance for feedback before we made our decision. It is important that anything that affects supporters, we do have that ability to communicate with them, because at the end of the day, the experience we provide is for them, so it's important that what we are providing they like. There's no point us doing something that fans aren't going to engage with. So,
and then what is your proudest moment so far as part of the club?
I'll let you take this one first.
Yours has got to come, hasn't it?
Well,
proudest moment.
So whilst you're thinking, I'd say
one proudest moment. Gosh, there's been a few actually for me. Promotion to the Premier League. I get emotional. That first game, and we played Chelsea.
Yep.
I was so proud.
Yeah.
So proud that Chelsea were there at Wigan Athletic, and we were actually playing in the Premier League.
And we should have won.
I'm sorry.
Crespo scored,
yes,
didn't
yes,
it?
that was proud. The FA Cup.
Yeah.
You know, winning the FA Cup. Who'd have thought Wigan Athletic would have won the FA Cup? I was so proud of the club then. And also, I know it's not proud of, but the fact that these new owners, Mike and Ben and Lucas, invited me to come back to the club after 12 years, to go on the board and to chair the board and to work with Sarah is fantastic. I would never have thought that I would have been back working at beloved Wigan Athletic.
No. And well deserved, to be quite honest. Well deserved.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think those two items, getting in the Premier League and winning the FA Cup, so proud of the club, and I'm proud of myself that they've allowed me to come back.
I'd say that's probably one of mine as well. That, as I said before, Karen Brady was one of my idols growing up, and little girls don't always grow up going, I want to be Karen Brady. And sort of, as I got into football as a young fan and had a taste of working in football, it's like, I want to be Karen Brady. So when it was actually a real, it was a really strange moment. So we were asked to go into our positions on the back of the Leighton Orient game in December, and we just lost the game to a really annoying, scrappy goal. And sort of, Lucas spoke to us after the game and said, look, we've been speaking at board level, myself and Mike would really like you guys to come on board. And it was the weirdest feeling ever, because it was like, I'm so annoyed that we've just lost this game, but also like, I'm absolutely, I was like a Cheshire cat all the way home, because it is a really proud moment, and it's a role I really want to do justice. But I'd say probably one of mine and my proud moments in terms of football is after going through the hardship of the second financial troubles. I don't think it's put out there enough that we were in far worse a position when, unfortunately, Talal and Mr. Al Jasmi ran out of funds to fund the club. We were in far worse a position than we ever were when we were in administration, because in administration, the administrators had assets in terms of a training ground, they had players to sell. We didn't have any of that going into it, and until that week leading up to Mike's takeover, at any point we could have gone bust, because we owed so much to creditors, we owed money to HMRC, and any one of them putting in a winding up order would have killed the club. So the fact that we got through that, then got through the summer, obviously we had a few challenges in terms of player registrations to deal with, and the players walking out at Derby that opening day of the season was surreal. I mean, the fact we won the game as well was exceptional, but it was one of them, I think, even I was not far from filling up, because you were sat there going, oh my God, we're still alive.
Minus 8 points.
It was, there was so much going against us that summer, And it was a massive sense of pride that we'd been able to get the takeover over the line and in, and actually build a team and turn up at that first fixture. I went away on holiday probably 2 or 3 days before Mike took over the club, and I'd been a big part internally of helping try and get it over the line. And part of me didn't want to go on holiday because I was like, I need to stay here. And they were like, you're on your phone, it's fine. And I spent the whole of that 2-3 days on my laptop, just somewhere sunnier than Wigan at the time. And the takeover went through, but I went on that holiday thinking I could be unemployed when I come home. I might not have a job. It was that close to the wire. So it's a really, that derby game was a really proud moment, actually, as walking out again as a League One team.
I can imagine. That's everything.
And I'd just like to say, Chelsea, thank you very much. You've asked some lovely questions.
Thank
you. Keep going to Latics now, you know these guys. But hearing Sarah's story is inspirational for you guys there, knowing that things can be achieved. But I think to me, I mean, that's it. You get emotional because of it, and it's emotional, and you can see. But what's come across to me, and I hope it goes across me, is the passion we've got back at Wigan. And people who care. It's not just kind of about. It's about the community. So it's football club, because football club means, and the rugby club means, and gelling that together. And I think we've got a really strong future because we all work together at Wigan and do it. I know it's kind of cheesy sometimes, but it means a lot to people. Yeah. Football means a lot, and rugby means a lot. And I think the two are coming together. So the day we get that joint season ticket and that joint shirt.
Well, that's probably a step too far.
But I think there's people out there who really endorse now. They can see that, and you know, and a big thank to Mike Danson, because we wouldn't have been here. We would have been a beret. You know, and we're lucky. You know, that's it. Got two ladies who are pushing it. You've got ladies at the college. You've got people who really will look up to you guys. So you've got a big thing to kind of live up to, because people who got Lisa and Andy there in Parliament doing that, and so we've got a big push of doing all that, and people at the Elm, you know, and we're all there together doing it, and it's really good. So thanks for coming on the podcast. I hope it's been worth kind of missing your bit of a trip.
Yes.
And I really do appreciate it. I appreciate Chelsea coming in and asking those questions, and you care about Wigan and you go to Wigan, and so it's all about that. So thank you. The emotion was there, the passion was there, and I know we'll get through that, and we'll strive with this. But pass on our thanks to Mike, because we won't be here.
Thank you so much for having us as
Thank
well.
you. So that's Ready and Willing podcast. That's the next episode finished, and I think it's been really intriguing one to listen to these passionate people, but people at the top of the game, pardon the pun, because that's where they are, at the top of the game for Wigan Athletic. Thank you very much.